Hi, welcome to A Punk with Toys. My name is Lawrence, and today we're going to be taking a look at the G.I. Joe, a real American hero, Cobra Night Landing. This is part of my classic reviews that I've been doing, and this is my original Night Landing. What's actually pretty cool is that my son also has one from, I want to say the 50th anniversary, or I forget exactly which one it is, but it's very similar, but it is not this one. All that you see here, the gun, the oars, the outboard motor, these are all my original, but I am missing the knife and the shovel. You can go to 3D Joe's and you can see what I'm talking about. But a big thanks to Johnny Reno / Cage's Customs, whatever he wants to go by. He was able to provide me with the submachine gun and the radio. So anyway, we're going to look at this. I know people love this. I know people are asking for this in classified and they haven't done it yet. I feel like it's right around the corner. We have divers, torpedo, eels. We know wetsuit's going to come because the mold is there. It's only a matter of time before they drop this. But anyway, we're going to take a look at this one here. We're going to go through it. There is dirt that is 40 years old inside, and I tried cleaning it the best that I can. Yeah, that goes out to you, Mr. Action Figs, who loves to play in the dirt with his newer figures. The dirt doesn't come off. It's not coming off. I got to really struggle to get it. But anyway, you've heard enough. That's what we did with our toys. We played with them. That's what we do now. We play with our toys. But we're going to take a look at this. But before we do, if you like this, if you have a story about it, please take a second. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification so you're notified every time I drop a classic review. Alright, here we have our Cobra Night Landing. And yes, I still have the Cobra EO right here because, of course, he needs to be in it. So, as I mentioned early on in the beginning of the video, I do not have the shovel. I know it's not called a shovel. I don't want to get yelled at, but it's a shovel. And I do not have the knife. So I don't have the entrenching tool or the entrenching knife, as it's actually called on the back of the box. But I do have everything that comes onto the boat. And I do have the radio and the submachine gun. Thank you to Johnny Reno. So we'll look at the radio first. And I don't remember if there's supposed to be a sticker on here, but I have to say the detail in this is actually pretty nice. You get this big antenna, you get the handle so they can walk around with it, a bunch of different knobs, a bunch of different buttons. I would assume these are different lights for whatever station you're trying to tune into. And here is where you'd actually dial to figure out. You're not going to have a digital display, nothing like that. I would assume this is way too early in that day. And even here it almost looks like you can almost plug in a headset right there. And then there's this hollow on the back. So it is meant to be only seen from one side or on the bottom like that. As for the submachine gun, this is actually very important because one of my biggest gripes when it came to the Cobra Eel and Torpedo and Wetsuit was they didn't have any guns. Didn't make a lot of sense. Well, they gave you a gun to throw into it. Now, if I remember correctly, this handle, the grip is a little bit too thick and could always be problematic. I might be wrong. It's been a long time. You got your magazine right there. There's your stock that kind of sticks right out, and you can see it looks like it's supposed to go in. You get the barrel with your iron sight. So a nice looking gun, but I always equated this to something even much older than the Vietnam era. As for the actual boat, now in theory, this thing does float. And it will float until water creeps into the seal right here. And then it goes down, like I mentioned, like the Titanic. So, but let's be honest, I'm not going to be in the water with this. We're going to be taking a look at it. But it is completely solid on the bottom. There you can see 1984 Hasbro right there. So a little bit of detail here. Just kind of showing you how it's connected, how it's stayed together. You can see that this is supposed to be the air that's going through it. You got 878 on it. You got the Cobra symbol right there. Now, this thing would tend to break apart. So I ended up cutting these so they'd stay. So when I had to break it apart or to get the water out, it wasn't a problem. All right, so on the front, we have this nice little machine gun. It has a reverse magazine right here. I used to use this thing all the time. Like I pulled this thing off. All right, there you have your sight right there. Gun's a little warped over time, but no big deal. You got your barrel, and then there's your stand for it. So you're going to be able to shift it back and forth. It does not go up and down, but that's not a big deal from what I understand. Even today, in today's day and age, not everyone puts the elevating guns on their vehicles. So we have a couple oars. Now I won't even attempt to take these off, as the last thing I want to do is break them. They do have smaller handles up here. Now I'm not going to be trying to put a hand in there. If that's something you want to do, you are more than welcome to. You have your motor, which has a nice little handle right here, so you can move it back and forth. There is no engine underneath it, so it just has the cover. All right, so you have your access right there. Kind of tells you, I think, what type of engine it is on both sides. You got the Cobra logo, and then you do have a fan. I'm sorry, the motor, the propeller that actually spins. Not that it really does anything, but even here, they did the fin right on the bottom. So again, a lot of detail that you didn't really look at. Up top here, this was here, just to make it so your wake, the way that it's going, it shoots it straight out forward. And then you do have this rope, and you can see the detail that's put into it, all right? So this is made so anyone can grab it from any part of the actual landing, the boat, I guess. We'll call it a boat, all right? It's a little floating device. So anyone can grab it. You can also hook it to wherever you need. It doesn't have to be in one specific spot. Again, this is supposed to be hidden. You're going to want it, you know, as close up. You don't want it just kind of dangling out, all right? On the inside, you can see it's supposed to be wood. It looks like you have some wood seats right there. You can fit 2 figures into it. Technically, you could probably fit a little bit more, but it's a pretty tight fit. And then on the bottom, like I mentioned here, it looks like it's wood all the way on the bottom. All right, and it even looks like this is where you're going to pump it up. Looks like they have a couple different spots. Now, I might be wrong on that. If I am, please let me know. So we plug this in here, and what you're really looking at is how well does the figure fit in here? Well, I'll say this. If there weren't seats to hold stuff, you know, back the actual back of the seats, figures tended to want to fall out. All right. Now, as long as he has these flippers on, they're definitely going to be a problem. So we'll take the flippers off. Now, if you're able to, you can actually still get his hand in there. And then he's kind of going to be riding up like this. But again, you can kind of pose him any way that you want. It's definitely not the easiest, as I don't think it was really meant to, he wasn't really meant to hold this, especially not 40 years later. So you can kind of sit like this, all right? Once he kills the motor, if it will slide in, yeah, see, that's not going to slide on, so there's no way that I'm going to slide that. But back in the day, when these weren't as rigid as they are, you could actually pop the hand onto it. As for the gun, well, let's be honest, this guy needed something a little bit better when he was attacking G.I. Joe. If he was going to be attacking the USS Flag and he was going to be climbing up, I think he wants a little bit more than just this this poor little harpoon gun or spear gun, whatever you want to call it. So there you go. That's how he actually fits with the submachine gun. I don't think it looks bad at all. And then you obviously have the radio. I'm going to pop this thing off. It's driving me nuts. And it easily fits in his hand, and you can get him kind of walking. Maybe he's in a breakdancing, all right? And you use this as his boom box, all right? Look at that. What was that movie, Fight the Power, right? Isn't that what he did? Anyway, there you go. That is your Night Landing, Cobra Night Landing. I do wish I had the entrenching tool / shovel and knife, but I don't. You can look them up on 3djoes.com if you are interested in seeing everything that this thing does come with. But anyway, nice little detail. A real fun little toy vehicle for you to take to Grandma and Grandpa's house or someone that had a pool. All right, so there you go. That is the Cobra Night Landing. I love to hear a story about this. Just like I asked on the eels, the divers, maybe you had a pool. Maybe this was something you had to have. Maybe yours didn't actually sink. Maybe your dad was able to seal it so there weren't big air pockets to make this thing just dive. Again, it floated for only so long, and once the water got in it, it was all done. It was like the Titanic going down, but maybe even a little bit quicker. But anyway, I love to hear what you have to say about this. This, to me, was one of those really cool things that even though you could only do so much with it, you really couldn't attack a hovercraft or a, a USS Flag with it. But Commando, Arnold Schwarzenegger used this in there. Of course, he didn't have the gun right there. But it gave you so many options to do little things like that. So anyway, I'd love to hear a story. Love to hear about what you did with this if you had it. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. You've looked at me long enough. You're like, I need to go look for this online on eBay. Or maybe if I'm Michigan, I'm going to head to Sergeant Red's. I'm sure they have something like this. If they don't have this, well, they won't have this exact one because this exact one is in my collection. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you for sticking around. Please take a second, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you're notified every time I drop a classic review. Now, what you're saying is, hey, well, how about the eel? He would have been on this. Well, you're just in luck because guess what? Right here is going to be the review of the eel, and down here will be a playlist of all the classic reviews that I've done. Take care.